Hello, how are you?
Hello, everyone. We're back on Digital Week Online, and this topic is about we are starting the next track, and this track is about exchanges, the future of exchanges. We're talking about central exchanges, centralized, decentralized, or regulates one. And here with me is Jess from Binance, Paul Pure, Eric Ma. I think we have another person as well, and now we are going to tell a little bit more how it looks like on this I don't know, new world, new decentralized world. Jess, the stage is yours. You're going to moderate this event.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I think we could just because I just know the topic of the CEX and DEX and the regular exchanges. So I gonna introduce myself first. I'm from Binance broker team. So the broker team is a new business unit in Binance this year. And we officially launched this program in February based on the concept which is open resource platform. So we have the three new business units. Like Binance Cloud and Binance Widget and broker program. So the basic idea for the brokerage program is to provide liquidity and market apps to our brokers, and our brokers could also use the Binance infrastructure like wallets, matching engine, and like risk management, security, etc., to also leverage the liquidity and market apps. So right now, like we officially like we already have like over 400 brokers on board globally, and they have like diverse portfolios. So we really want to provide because liquidity is very essential in the exchange, especially for the crypto trading. So from Binance side, we would like to provide this kind of like advantages of the Binance for the other brokers and other institutional clients. Yeah, that's it from me.
Okay. I believe I'm the moderator, correct? So who asked you to? Yes.
Yeah, sorry, sir. I don't think I'm the moderator.
Yes, guys, up to you, Eric. Your turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
So what is the question? What are we discussing here? There's I know the this topic is the central.
It's the future of the exchanges, centralized one, decentralized, or regulated exchanges. We want to just know how it looks like in nowadays.
Yeah. Well, it's with the DeFi movement recently, things are moving in a new direction, I think, and things always happen very quickly in crypto. So with the latest, with the Uniswap and Balancer and 1inch, all of these decentralized exchanges certainly has an impact on how the business workings of centralized exchanges, and also thinking about regulation on exchanges. Obviously, with DEXs, you can't really regulate them because they run on its own. So regulation, I think they already have a difficult time wrapping their head around how to regulate centralized exchanges. Now they got DEXs running around, so it's been quite a challenge. But from a centralized exchange point of view, I think there's certainly some concerns regarding the future of centralized exchanges. I think they will coexist with DEXs. However, it's going to have an impact on how things have worked in the last couple of years. And I do see some changes happening in the next year. Even centralized exchanges have been starting, like at B1, we've actually started liquidity pools on Uniswap for our projects. So we are even using some DEXs just to incorporate more liquidity for our projects. So that's kind of how I see things right now. Again, I really can't predict the future. Things are moving, week by week, things are changing. So it's been really exciting.
Yeah, I think.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take over. Sergey, is that okay if I start
Yes,
moderating?
sure. Eric Ma, your turn. You are on stage. You're moderator of this great discussion of this topic. That's what, up to you. Yes,
got it. So I do have some questions for. See, we have Jess, Paul, Ethan over at Beaky. Got who else do we have? Elizabeth. So I'm basically gonna ask a question, and maybe you guys can take turns about 1.5 to 2 minutes about what you think. My first question is, you know, we've talked about mainstream adoption of crypto for quite a while now, and what main obstacles do you guys still see today preventing mainstream adoption of cryptocurrency? Yeah, maybe we could start with Ethan, since we haven't heard from Ethan yet. Hey, Ethan.
Hey guys. Right. So yeah, thanks for having me. Right. So I think a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, the news of NFTs was getting hot and everybody's kind of pretty excited. And I thought, for once, art pieces and rare pieces are going to pick up, but due to the gas fees, it didn't pick up as much as we want. And then obviously DeFi, but what I do see coming forward is once DeFi has actually picked up a lot more, I think the rest of the industries like logistics or supply chain would actually benefit a lot, because like if we look at traditional industries, we will see that financial industries are the centerpiece of it all. And so if we get this fixed and get it right in the cryptocurrency space, and I think the rest of the spaces will get the benefit a lot more. So your main question is, what are the main obstacles, right? So I think one of the key parts is obviously we've seen a lot of bad players in the earlier part of the ICO era, and that caused a lot of people to drop out of the market. But with DeFi coming out, I think we've seen a lot of old players as well as a lot more new players coming in. And so I think the industry today is still facing a little bit of I would say uncertainty when it comes to mainstream adoption, because like for us, Vicky, in Singapore, we're actually also applying for the license with the Singapore government. And so there's a lot of things that we're going through right now. And once that is covered, I would think that for the first time, we can actually see much easier signs or faster signs of mainstream adoption. Yeah, so that still remains to be figured out. Yeah.
Great. Anybody want to add on to that or contribute to what?
Yeah, from my perspective, I do believe like infrastructure as a service. But like the infrastructure right now is one of the issues that I mean it's one of the obstacles in emerging markets. And also because the infrastructure is necessary for the adoption of crypto as a means of payments in the regular retails. So if the merchants' acceptance of the Bitcoin or the other cryptocurrencies as a payment has been explored, so we see like many people, there's a trend of the cryptocurrencies adoption, but especially in like other developing countries, the lack of infrastructure is all still the biggest obstacle right now. And I think the other another obstacle could be the mentality shift. I mean, the education. So because of the cryptocurrencies and also the blockchain is still the in the beginning stage. It's not a mature industry, but I mean, only part of the people in the world just realize and aware the cryptocurrencies. So the mentality shift is also one of the obstacles.
Very good. Thank you, Jess. Great points there. Obviously, there are more obstacles than what we've mentioned so far. Let's see, Paul, do you see anything else that cryptocurrency faces in terms of mainstream adoption?
Quite a few things, but I think that the question to ask is, what is the mainstream adoption defined as? So from the viewpoint of mainstream, kind of the trader world, traders in a way are a mainstream market as well. We're pretty well adopted. I think most financial traders are very, very aware of cryptocurrencies. They've either incorporated it into their trading strategy or have just kind of been a bear on the market at this point. Either they're like, the cryptocurrencies are not a thing to invest in, they're too volatile, they're going to get regulated, and they try to avoid them, or it's just simply part of the trading strategy. Now, I think what people are meaning by mass adoption is, when will the layperson, the non-trader, the normie be able to, or need to, or want to use cryptocurrency on a day-to-day basis? And the piece of that, I think, as Jess had mentioned, is payments. When are we actually going to get into using it as payments? And I think it's going to be a while, because a speculative asset just doesn't make for a great payment asset. As many people have said over and over, it's more interesting to hold an upward trending value speculative asset than it is to pay with it, at least while other assets exist. And so while you're being paid in depreciating assets such as fiat, you're going to want to spend that. And we have payment networks built for that. A lot of people say that, oh, well, we'll have stable coins and that will bring adoption to cryptocurrency. And I say this over and over again, stable coins are not cryptocurrency. They're a payment mechanism for another currency, for a fiat currency. It's just a payment mechanism. It's another form of Visa, MasterCard. It is a better payment mechanism, a far, far better one, but it's not a cryptocurrency as it stands, because it doesn't have its own value separate from the fiat currencies. So mainstream adoption will come from a payments point of view when the top cryptos that we're holding achieve a high enough market cap where they naturally gain their own level of stability, and they gain their own level of market cap in my pocket, meaning they take up so much of the market cap of what I actually own that becomes a much more preferred currency to pay with, because anything else I have to convert out of. So I think it's going to take some time, and hence why we're here talking about exchanges, because what are people doing right now? They're simply trading it.
Right. That's a really good point. Mainstream adoption, I think, means a lot of different things for different people. I've also heard a lot of people talking about basically creating logons, for exchanges as a big barrier. And it's, there's KYC and there's all these other barriers. But I do believe, Paul, what you said, I think the key is, if cryptocurrency is a good mainstream kind of a currency that's not reliant on fiat, then all that other stuff, the barriers with the KYC and stuff, that's not going to be, I think it's going to be a non-issue. But right now we still have that big hurdle you just mentioned. So good point.
Yeah, the
Anybody else
exchanges are sense. So this is I guess where this topic and discussion becomes interesting is, where do exchanges fit, I think, in the current landscape of bringing mass adoption? And then also, as I think Justin mentioned, what's the concern of them going forward? Or maybe it was Sergey that mentioned what's the concern of them going forward? Where do they sit in a world where crypto is mass adopted? Those start to become interesting topics.
Right. I think with the mainstream adoption, let's evolve this question a little bit more. With, say, one day we do have mainstream adoption, like Paul has mentioned, where there's a currency that people are using to transact, to purchase things. Where do you guys see, exchanges fitting into that whole picture? Does anybody want to discuss that a little bit? Mr. Excavo?
Hello, guys.
Frozen?
Hello, everyone. I'm a professional trader, and I'm listening to your conversation. I think like centralized exchange, it's bank version 2.0, because now crypto exchange provide a lot of services. For example, you can buy cryptocurrency, you can trade cryptocurrency, futures, like options, credits, and a lot of these services provide centralized exchanges, but still don't have audit and it will be happened, I think. What about me? I still trade on centralized exchange, but if you look at next 10 years, why no, you need to understand why people become to start trade or hold cryptocurrency, because of decentralized, because of like no KYC, and now banks, centralized exchange is like a banks, and people like transfer money in exchange. That's why I believe in the next 5-10 years, decentralized exchange and the DeFi sector will growing, because I have big community of traders, around like 100,000 people in TradingView, and my mission to teach people, you need to understand where you will hold your money. For example, first in centralized exchange, it's like a banks. Second, in your like telephone or in your hard wallet, and I think this industry will grow, and it just started. That's why I'm here now. But after that, in DeFi, also now we create like DeFi project, like automatic market maker, and in first stage it's like spot trading. After that, it's margin trading, and like last stage it's like synthetic like assets. For example, after like I don't know how many times you can trade with share like Tesla, but like synthetic asset, the Tesla, and you can have tokens of Tesla or gold, or what do you want in your wallet.
Okay. So what makes you a professional trader? Is that all you do as your main kind of profession?
Yeah.
Okay. That's really cool that you're in this panel, because you give us kind of a different viewpoint from where we're coming from. How about Tony Tong from do you have any input on where you see exchanges kind of fitting in to the future if when mainstream adoption occurs?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm calling from Hong Kong, so we are in the middle of applying for the Hong Kong government, the SFC's regulator crypto exchange. The Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission announced at the end of last year that it's going to issue virtual asset trading platform license. And so a number of companies applying, and we are also applying for that license. So I think once this license has been issued, then we're going to be getting a lot of the traditional brokers, dealers, asset management companies, because Hong Kong has always been a financial center. There's a lot of money, institutional money, especially in Hong Kong, and they're waiting to trade with a regulated exchange that would also better ensure the safety of their client assets. For example, we're required to buy insurance for the client assets. So and also I think the market is also for STO. I think once according to the Hong Kong's regulator, the SFC's guideline, once we receive the license, we are required to list at least one security token offering. So there are many real estate projects and other equity-based projects that involve crowdfunding and investment purpose with dividend sharing. These would be could be tokenized on the regulated exchange under the Hong Kong's regulation scheme. So.
Yeah. So Eric, I just want to add something. Like you can see in the Binance ecosystem, like we launched the Binance card. So I think the Binance card is is um is very important in the adoption of not the people not in the crypto world. Like you can pay like spend pay like transfer the crypto at like I think like 60 million locations with the Binance card. Like this is totally Visa card. But it's right now like it's only applied in the European countries, but I think in the future, like Asian people or the American people can also use it. And also for the swap, we just like Binance just acquired swipe card company. And swipe is also like if you buy the swipe Visa card, you could use this Visa card to pay like as a payment method in the regular retails at over 60 million locations. And another part in the ecosystem could be like traveler.com. So I also use traveler.com when I booking the hotels or the flights, and I compared with other website which paid by fiat. And I think it's gonna be better, like in the better price and with a low transaction fee, and it's very fast. So it's very convenient for me to use crypto in the real world. It's not just like the cryptocurrencies just as a trading like trading pairs that we could. And I think it's the best solution for the adoption in the crypto world.
That's cool. So the Binance card, what cryptocurrency is it actually using when it's being spent?
Yeah, I think right now like we support BTC, ETH, BUSD, and few like trading pairs. And the procedure is you could just transfer your Binance spot wallets into the Binance card. So when you acquire Binance, you buy the Binance card, and it's actually combined your Binance exchange accounts. So you could just simply transfer your crypto from your Binance spot wallets into Binance card wallets.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, certainly. I think familiarity with with the mainstream, or familiarity with kind of like the way things work right now, and how we tie that in with crypto, I think is really important, because I think for many people, they hear the word crypto and they think it's like it's like rocket science to them. So they think it's really difficult. But if you can tie it into something where they don't really have to think about it, just looks like a credit card, and it works, I think that is really cool. I mean, these credit cards have been around for a while, but I think Binance is always fast moving, and I think it takes somebody like Binance to implement it, because you hear a lot of smaller companies doing these kind of things. As early as two and a half years ago, I still remember hearing about them. But when is that Binance card coming out, Jess?
I think it's like right now it's ready to go. And if you are if you have the KYC in European countries, and you could like in the waiting list, and you can buy the Binance card right now. And officially launched I think in April, so this year. But they are also like working on other countries KYC and ML.
So interesting thing about payment cards. I've been in the industry since about 2013. We co-founded Edge in 2014, and we've seen debit cards, payment cards, and the Visa MasterCard network layered on top of cryptocurrency since I think as early as 2014, actually. So it's definitely been quite some time that companies have tried to offer this product. And I saw two primary barriers to some of those early companies' success. Number one was definitely the regulatory environment, regulatory or just even bank partnerships. Banks did not like Bitcoin. They did not like crypto. And they were heavily required in order for you to be able to operate a successful debit card, Visa, MasterCard. But then number two, people also didn't have a lot of their own personal value in crypto yet. And so therefore spending it became less interesting. You know, if you just went through this hurdle to acquire, you know, say 1 or 5% of your assets in crypto, and they haven't actually increased significantly in value, then why would you want to spend it? You already spent a few percent to acquire them in the first place. Why would you then spend a few percent to spend them? Especially when you could be using a regular credit card and be earning points on it. Most of the debit cards, and I can't speak on behalf of Binance, but most of the debit and credit cards don't give you the reward systems that that you would get from a conventional card, because there is a conversion that has to happen. That's kind of one of the inherent problems with the payment mechanism, the existing world payment mechanism and crypto, is that there's no existing world payment mechanism such as Visa or MasterCard that natively supports a cryptocurrency. So a merchant can ask for 0.01 BTC and you're paying 0.01 BTC. In this day and age, you're always asking for $5, and then you're converting some amount of Bitcoin to $5 worth and then sending that over. That conversion is almost in every way, shape, and form going to come with some cost in addition to the processing cost. And that's very in contrast to crypto, where when you pay, there's no conversion cost, but there is, you know, just a transaction fee on the network, which can be very expensive on some networks, cheap on others. But that was the challenge a while back. And I think why there is now a resurged interest in payment cards is, number one, the regulatory environment is better, and banks are more willing to partner with crypto companies. It feels safer to them. And number two, we now have bag holders that have gotten, you know, mooned their holdings and like, hey, I'm 90% crypto. How can I use it to buy goods and services? And so, yes, I think the renewed interest is valid. But what I'm personally truly excited about is when we use the native payment layer of crypto, because cryptocurrency wouldn't actually be any special if it was just digital money. It's special because it's digital money with its own payment network.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I think like right now, like both Binance Card and Snap Card, you could enjoy some benefits. Like I remember it's 8% of cashback and no foreign transaction fees. I think it's much better than the PayPal, because like if you use PayPal, it still like cost much in the transaction fee. And I know like in many developing countries, like there are laborers in developed countries and they just want to, you know, transfer some like their salaries money into their hometown, but it costs a lot if they use like PayPal or the banks. But compared of the crypto, like Visa card, I think it's a little bit cheaper. It's interesting scenarios.
Did we lose our moderator?
Yeah, I think he dropped out.
Yeah, guys, if you don't mind, yes, I can do his role. As I see, we have one more guest today. It's Claude. Please turn on your camera to have a chance to see you. I see that Eric Ma is back with us. Just give you a couple of seconds. And the best way to, yes, Eric is here already. Just let him to speak. Eric?
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm in Taiwan right now, which is good because of the COVID being under control. But with the switch over to 5G, our internet has been really terrible recently. So apologize for that.
No problem.
Okay,
take it away.
So I don't know where you guys left off. Is it okay if I move on to the next question?
I think yes.
Sure.
That's way to do that.
Okay, so you know, with the DeFi movement, let's talk a little bit about DeFi. I feel like in the last 6 months, DeFi has really taken over on a lot of topics. A lot of influencers are talking about it. How do you guys think the DeFi will impact centralized exchanges and regulation and regulated exchanges moving forward into the next year or two? Let's see, who hasn't really spoke yet, or who wants to?
I'll take a stab at this. We kind of our company Edge lives right on the border between CeFi and DeFi. We are what most people would call a wallet first. So self-custody solution buys, but you can buy, sell, and trade, and we access CeFi and DeFi within the app. And so we kind of get a view of the use case for both. And if you ask the question, we know how will DeFi impact centralized exchanges over the next 1 to 2 years, I think fairly little. And I think that's because one of the biggest value adds of the centralized exchanges, or the two biggest value adds, is fiat onboarding. And of course, you can't do that with DeFi. And number two is incredibly fast trading. So for now, and I think, Mr. Excavo, if I'm pronouncing correctly, can probably attest to the fact that you kind of need, those things for the avid trader. However, as we talked about the transition into a crypto world where people are getting paid in crypto and they're spending crypto, now the role of centralized exchanges, I think by then, will start to decrease in the sense that our blockchains will have scalability solutions that allow for much faster trading, number one. And then number two, we're not having to on-ramp from fiat nearly as much, if at all, but that could be pretty far down the line. In the interim, the thing that I would like to see, and I think actually is an interim transition that we will see, is a transition, at least not for the day trader, not for the professional trader, but for the retail investor, a transition from using centralized exchanges by default, centralized exchanges as the main brand name to go and acquire and buy and hold some crypto, to what we're tagging as self-custody exchanges. Basically, the exchange is integrated with self-custody wallet, meaning I can go set up hopefully in a simple way, set up my private key backup inside of a wallet, and then acquire crypto, which goes through a centralized exchange, but doesn't leave money with them. And I think that's a very key thing. All right, you're doing self-custody, doesn't leave money with them, it just acquires. And then from within that wallet, I can now do trades, whether they use CeFi solutions, centralized exchange solutions, pass-through, such as a Changely or ChangeNow, or using DeFi, such as Total, which is an exchange aggregator. That I think is going to be the trend first, before we go to full DeFi, and the entire world isn't even touching fiat on fiat rails. There's going to be an intermediary switch where most people, once again, not the very frequent traders, but most normal people, people that have another job that aren't trading that much, are using exchanges but through a wallet.
That's a great point. Do you know of any kind of secure wallets that you could use on centralized exchanges right now that have been popular or have been successful, Paul?
I guess that's a bit of a softball in a sense, but yeah, we ourselves build exactly that. So we build a wallet that allows you to access 16 different, it depends how you define centralized, but centralized exchanges in the sense that there's an entity there. It's not a smart contract, but they're all pass-through exchanges. They're not order matching exchanges. You can't place those fancy orders. And all your transactions are on-chain, thereby incurring the cost of on-chain transaction fees. But the model is definitely growing. We led the charge doing this as early on as 2015. And now most other wallets offer similar support, but maybe not with the same level of selection of different exchange services. We even do price aggregation. So we find the best price across the different swap exchanges for the user. But I think this is a trend that's like long overdue. I think we're going to see continuing on, where the front brand name that consumers see are the self-custody wallet solutions, whether you call them wallets or self-custody exchanges, it's just a name thing. But the centralized order matching engine exchanges on the back end are, in a way, they're the ISP of exchanges. And I make this analogy to the early internet, where in the early internet, the biggest startups were ISPs. They're the ones that connected people. They're the ones who you call to install internet in your house. And the website services were not the biggest names early on. And everyone said, how are the websites going to actually make any money? They just offer you a little bit of information and news. That totally is flipped now, where most people don't think about the ISPs. Those brand names are kind of underneath the covers. Sure, I've got my phone service, but when I travel around the world, I don't really know who I'm using under the covers. But I do know the websites. I know the apps that I'm using. And those are the brands today that are the wallet-facing, consumer-facing products that might access exchanges behind the scenes. So I think that's a transition that we'll be going through. And so to answer the question, are there any secure wallets? The secure is an ill-defined term. I think most wallets are secure if used properly, and some are easier to make secure and some are harder to make secure. But I think used properly, many for the casual investor have sufficient security, but unfortunately, like I mentioned, you got to go through the right process and to be able to do so in a secure way.
Right. I think those ISPs you're talking about, like one of the most famous ones was like America Online and stuff like that, right?
Oh, that's definitely one of them. Although they tried to do more. They were the the monolith, meaning they tried to be an ISP and they tried to be a website that tried to offer services like email. And when you try to do too many things, you find that you don't do any one of them very well. And I think we're in that kind of phase as well in crypto. Is all of the crypto companies are kind of still startups, and they're the best ones are generally the ones that focus and try to do one thing really, really well and partner with other services and integrate with other services, much like the internet is the integrator of different internet companies. But I'm thinking of ISPs such as not COVID, but COVID Communications here in the US. There was At Home, which is also another communications company, and none of those names are even around today. There were huge names in the mid to late 90s, but completely disappeared today. But the companies such as Amazon, Google, Facebook, the apps on top of the internet are the ones that thrive in the long term. They become the household names, and ironically, now they're becoming ISPs as well.
Right. Yeah, to come full circle is really interesting to see. So DeFi, Paul did talk about something happening intermediary before DeFi actually becomes more of a mainstream thing. How many years or when do you see that kind of happening? Does Ethan have any input or Jess? There's Elizabeth here, isn't there? I'd like to hear from Elizabeth.
Yeah, she's been a little bit quiet.
Actually, guys, Elizabeth is technical specialist, which are organizing this online event on air. Just go. That's why don't expect from she some kind of invitation. Okay, Eric.
Got it. Sorry about that. So Ethan, what do you think about? Oh, Jess, you wanted to.
I just want to add a few points. Totally agree with Paul's perspective. I think in the future, not only DeFi, it's gonna like also the exchanges. Like we have already centralized exchanges have already recognized the DeFi's like emerging markets, and we already moving to because for example, like Binance, we officially launched a Binance DEX last year, and we are moving to a I do believe we are moving to the hybrid like CEX plus DEX model, and also right now BSC, which is Binance Smart Contracts, is there are a few projects on it, and they launched it successfully based on our smart contracts. So I think in DeFi, it's moving pretty fast, and I do believe within 5 years, also with the support of CEX and centralized exchanges and CeFi, DeFi could be. Because right now there are only, I think it's 1% of users using DeFi, but within 5 years it's gonna increase dramatically.
Yeah. Okay. So think about 5 years. Let's move on to the next question. So this kind of what Jess talked about. How can we expect the crypto exchange space to change over the next few years now? So, Ethan?
All right, thanks. Yeah, so actually I just want to add on the previous point.
Sure.
Basically, I think DeFi makes the space fun again, I think. And it basically gives a lot more energy to the industry again. I think one of the issues is definitely, if you look at the DeFi space, there's a lot of farmers, a lot of people going for the yield. And on the contrary, on the exchange, primarily we focus on trades, right, and the trading fees. So those are direct opposites, right? So there are users that want to stake, they want to hold onto it, and then they want to get their APYs. And on the other hand, exchanges will only earn from the trading fees, right? So these are two extreme contrasts, and so that is also already a part that is a little bit difficult for exchanges to adapt. Like for BK Exchange, we actually took a month and a half to shift all the resources, to build our liquidity pools and our liquidity mining function in order to adapt, right? So I think to connect to the next question, right, how we expect the crypto exchanges to change over the next couple of years, I think we can expect to see a little bit of a hybrid of between DEX and centralized exchanges. But I think we can see a lot more products scaled up in terms of lending products, in terms of derivatives products as well, right? And then we can also see a lot more time deposit niche kind of products that for the less with the sort of users with lesser risk appetite. And especially with the CBDCs, which is the central bank coins, I think that is going to affect the space a lot more. And in my opinion, that's going to increase a lot more for the mass adoption. I can't tell for sure, but when the CBDCs do come in, the MNCs will come in, and the network under the MNCs, which is the small medium enterprises, will come in, and that's where the first effect of the mass adoption will come in. So it's really, again, like what we experienced with DeFi for the first time, what we experienced with the CBDCs for the first time as well, right? So that's the answers I have for now.
I think about a fascinating insight that's hit me recently in using DeFi. And I think it's actually DeFi is making exchanges more useful as a utility as opposed to just as a trader tool. So a lot of think of exchanges, I put some money in there and I just kind of trade back and forth and I'm looking for speculative gain and hopefully not speculative loss. But I'll tell a quick story of how I just used DeFi not very long ago. I saw the need for a financial service to be able to take out a loan. I think a lot of people are aware of this money market that's evolved on DeFi, where I have some cryptocurrency that's achieved quite a bit of value since I purchased it. I don't want to sell it. I want to take out a loan collateralized with my crypto. And this is offered greatly in the CeFi world. BlockFi does this, Salt Lending had initiated this years ago in 2017, but I wanted to actually use it with DeFi so I wouldn't have to fill out forms, KYC and whatnot. And in the process of doing this, I actually needed to do exchange functionality. I needed to use an exchange. I needed to convert Bitcoin to wrap BTC. That was an exchange, even though it was relatively pegged. I then went to use a DeFi service. I happened to have used Aave to collateralize a loan with wrap BTC, take out a stable coin, and then use an exchange to sell it into a bank account to pay off a credit card. And this is a legit use. I had a credit card at 15, 16% interest, and I was able to take out a loan using DeFi at less than 6% with no KYC, no impact to my credit score. And in the process of doing it, I needed to use some exchange services. I didn't care about the trading aspect of it. I purely cared about a financial service that I actually needed. And I can imagine as well, people may need the service on the other end. On the other side of me taking out this loan, there was someone that was depositing a stable coin to gain interest, because now banks don't really give you very good interest, if any at all, if not negative interest. So they may have had to convert actual fiat to a stable coin, or maybe they had a stable coin, but they convert it to a different one, which gives you better interest, and then put that into a DeFi solution, to a money market. So the exchanges now, it's almost kind of exciting to know that, heck, just a normal person like me, that I'm not a trader, had a legitimate need for exchange functionality for a true financial service in a decentralized manner, and I didn't have to deal with the company doing so. So I was super excited about that. It was awesome. I got to use it, and it wasn't for yield farming and harvesting all of these random coins to pump and dump and sell them. I just honestly needed a loan. That was exciting. I think that is the future of one level of mass adoption that people forget about, is not just adoption of a currency, but adoption of decentralized financial services, such as loans, hedging, interest-bearing accounts. All of those things on top also help the adoption of crypto, and exchanges are going to be a key part of that, because people will need to get into different coins in order to get those services.
So Paul, that's interesting. That's thank you for that example. That's really really neat how something so new can be used in real life right now. Could you tell us a little bit about like your user experience and and like was it easy to get it? You said you used the Aave platform, I think, right?
I did, and no, it wasn't easy, and it wasn't easy because it was a bunch of disjunct tools. Admittedly, I'll give fault for us at Edge not supporting DeFi tightly integrated into the wallet, and I think not many do at this point yet. But it's definitely a goal for ours. So right now I had to use multiple tools. I had to use my own funds were on Edge, which I then needed to swap into wrap BTC. That was relatively simple. But then that wrap BTC is now in an Ethereum, key that I needed to install into a DeFi wallet. And then I had to go to Aave, and it took several blockchain transactions for me to deposit into Aave using the same keys I already had. And then another deposit into Aave, request the loan, and then finalize the loan. So it's definitely several blockchain transactions, which are several clicks each time waiting for a confirmation across multiple apps. And then I had to take that money out and then sell it, which I was able to do in Edge to sell directly to my bank account. So it wasn't as streamlined as it could be, but having used it, I found that it could become that, and it just needs to get built out. And since the protocol level of these money markets are still fairly early on, I think cleaner interfaces on top of them are hesitant to build immediately because the protocols are still so new. Like, which protocol do you use? Do you use Aave? Do you use Yearn? Do you use Maker or whatnot? Is still a broad decision. But as they start to mature, have months, if not years, of stability and security, now the UXs that have been around for a while, such as Edge, can start building, cleaner, streamlined, click, 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 boom, done. There's your loan. It's in your bank type of experiences. So, and I'm excited to get there.
Right. And, I think recently this was something, I don't know if you guys used Uniswap at all. They had the airdrop of the Uniswap coin for all the wallets that open. I know a few people who had 4 or 5 wallets connected to it, and they all got that 400 Uniswap coin airdrop. That was pretty exciting. But I did find Uniswap to be quite easy to use. I don't know what wallet, MetaMask or whatever other wallet that you use. But I mean, again, I think you found a very creative way to use it to kind of lower your interest rates in real life. But a lot of people who are using these DEXs are, like you said, just only for yield farming and liquidity, maybe something like that.
Liquidity mining and whatnot. Yeah, that's
right.
That I think is the necessary evil of our industry, of crypto. And it's both evil and not. It's evil because it is a bit of a pump and dump in the sense that these coins are getting airdropped. The airdrop is creating a higher incentive to use the platform, because if you use the platform, you get the airdrop. That higher incentive causes more money to get locked in the contracts of these DeFi projects, which causes the DeFi project to bubble up the ranks in like the top 10 lock total lock value. They bubble up the ranks, which gets more attention, get more people buying the token of the airdrop, causing it to go up in value again. It just is a circular loop, which is something that can't actually sustain forever. So it spikes and then they crash. But at the same time, that's the evil part. But at the same time, it is creating more liquidity in the system. And when there's more liquidity, it becomes a more usable system. So I didn't have to worry when I took out a loan that there was going to be someone else on the other side that will give me the loan, right? There was enough liquidity to do that. I was a small fraction of it. So it's a give and take. And, the maximalists in our world will hate it because it's another dump token that just shoots up in value and goes down. But, you look a little bit deeper and you see, but at least now we have a bunch of liquidity and we can actually use these financial services independent of these skyrocketing and crashing governance tokens that were issued.
Right. And, a lot of those projects that you're talking about, I mean, they've crashed 90, 95%.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of, or any of those coming back, as
not for a long time. As I analyze most of those projects, most of them increase in value, and there isn't an actual good return on why you would hold a token, because they're mostly governance tokens. It gives me the right to vote, but let's face it, even in the real world, it's hard to get people to vote. And so I don't really want to bother to vote. So, and you don't even need the token to use the ecosystem. So I was able to take out alone on Aave and not once touched the Aave token. So I don't know that those tokens will come back in value to that same degree in the foreseeable future without like another 10, 100x level of adoption.
Jess, did you want us to add something?
Yeah, so it's also very quite interesting. Like I think DeFi became the institutional clients. Like if the users have holds a large of the large amount of funds, they could be the winner in the end. But if you are just the retails and you just feel, I think it's $1,000 and you just you buy, especially you buy on the exchange. So when the DeFi token was listed on the centralized exchanges, you could see the price could be, and it dropped a lot because of the institutional clients or like the big users. They just sell their funds in a very short time. So I think the best way right now is if you want to do the harvest, so you should like find the trust smart contracts, and especially the reputed developers and team of these projects, and you have to harvest in a very short time and sell and buy. Harvest and sell. So this is I think this is the process of the DeFi projects right now.
Yeah, I also hear a lot about this DeFi movement as kind of ICO 2.0, even though they're completely different things. But just a lot of the unregulated kind of space that it's very quite comparable. And a lot of people I have heard influencers and people in the industry talking about how DeFi will not last like this for a while. I mean, a lot of people had a lot of fun. A lot of people made a lot of money, but for it to mature, it's gonna, a lot of the scams and the pump and dumps are, they're gonna need to go away. Does anybody have any input on that?
I think, calling it ICO 2.0, at least it's 2.0. It is a huge, huge, huge improvement over the ICO era of 2017 and part of 2018. The biggest era of improvement is that the ICO era took a token and slapped it on top of anything, centralized, decentralized, whatnot. It's like you could launch any project, you can launch an iced tea company and suddenly it would ICO. And it really, you'd have projects and companies that had nothing to do with the benefits of a cryptocurrency. DeFi, at least in its nature and in its name, decentralized finance, means you're not even going to get any attention from the world unless you launch something with a smart contract that makes its own decisions and offers a financial service. And so there are going to be a lot of junky ones, but you're at least taking a huge leap forward and saying this is at least an attempt at offering a financial service on a blockchain without the full custody and interference of a centralized company that holds money. Now, once again, some of these still are gray area in the sense that there is a key, kind of like the master key that a company might hold. But we're seeing a lot of these spike ups in token values are actually because these companies are decentralizing their network. They're going from, for example, Compound holding the master key to their smart contract to distributing that control over comp token holders. So while we're seeing these giant spikes in these governance coins, really realize that that's also in the process of decentralizing the governance in the first place. So it's almost like I feel like we skipped ICO 2.0, and this is at least like 10.0 because it's that much of an improvement in product quality over the 99th percentile of products that launched in the 2017 ICO boom.
Right. It's hard to believe that was only 3 years ago.
Yeah.
All that. Yeah.
All that nonsense.
Things really moved quickly. Yeah, that's right. Well, we have about 5 to 10 minutes left. So for the last one, let's see. It's basically, maybe you guys could talk a little bit about some of the exciting things that you guys are doing at your exchanges or at your company, and some of the up and coming things that you think will affect the space. Maybe we'll go with Tony. Tony hasn't voiced out too much here. You still there, Tony?
Yep. Sorry, I have a cold. So as I mentioned earlier, many of the exchanges in Hong Kong have been working hard to apply for the government SFC's regulator exchange license. A few companies have received the Type 9, the SFC Type 9 asset management license for cryptocurrencies, which is a good sign because that would allow companies to easily raise money, raise fund. So, and there's one company that received an agreement in principle from the SFC, a letter agreement in principle for a virtual asset trading platform. And other than that, there are lots of stablecoin projects. USDT is also based right here in Hong Kong. So there's a lot of demand for OTC trading or USDT. And there's also like FTX and DeFi projects in Hong Kong, like from Uniswap to Sushi to Sake. There's Sushi Sake based in Hong Kong. So Hong Kong is very active. Oh, and in addition, I'm very busy on IPFS. We're doing IPFS mining, and we have a data center in Hong Kong, so we are getting ready a lot of the miners to be installed in the IPFS, getting ready to mine Filecoin, as is expected to launch on October 15th, the mainnet. So we're
there's a lot of I know IPFS has been very popular in Asia mostly. There have been, I mean, like with anything, it's been called a scam before, but that is something that I think is kind of more focused in Asia. And there have been kind of people saying that IPFS is kind of, not a legit project and stuff like that. Could you maybe talk just a little bit more about IPFS and Filecoin, mining of Filecoin?
Well, I think IPFS as a protocol is totally legit. It's a revolutionary project. It's the it's Juan Bennett from San Francisco and his team. I think they're going to be the next Vitalik. It's a bigger revolution disruption than Ethereum. So I'm a believer. There were a lot of scam because they used the name IPFS to try to introduce their own wealth management products and hardware. And for those people, unfortunately, if they invested too early, 2 or 3 years ago, yes, they probably suffer a lot. The hardware specs were not finalized until earlier this year. So, only earlier this year, then they finally launched the space race, the test net. So we are finally seeing that this project once raised 257 million from the biggest ICO back in 2017. Now is coming to launch the mainnet. So I think that it's gonna take a while before it can compete with the AWS or the Ali Cloud, the big centralized cloud servers. But eventually, with the Filecoin incentive, I think a lot of people will be investing in data centers and storage and bandwidth in this infrastructure sharing project. And I've made some money early days in the Bitcoin mining and the Ethereum GPU mining. So this time, I think we are also getting ready to hopefully make some money.
Great. I hope you feel better, Tony. Thanks, thanks for joining us, and even while you're sick. Excuse me. All right. How about is Ethan still there? Yeah, he's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So I think we just want to scale our liquidity mining function a little bit more, but the main thing is we are still carrying out a few experiments with regards to better supporting a lot of these DeFi projects. We have been working with a lot of them one-to-one with regards to their requests. Again, it's experiments because it's never done before. A lot of things has to be on-chain to support their taxes, etc. Right. So I think the remaining 3 months is going to be a huge challenge for us. Because we want to better support some of these DeFi projects to really grow and scale a lot more. Since, like what Paul mentioned, they actually do support a lot of good value to the economy. So there are a few that we already identified, and we are working really, really hard together to make it happen.
Great, thank you. We only have a few more minutes left, so I'm going to give the floor over to Jess, and then a couple minutes for Paul, please.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to add some points. So from my perspective, I think the most attracting thing in the blockchain world is collaboration. So that's why from Binance side, we launched a concept which is open resource platform. I think the blockchain and especially crypto world is not like we should like open mind and boost like other brokers and clients business. So they could leverage the liquidity and market apps for both spot and futures. They can use the settlements or the wallets where the Binance provides, and they can just launch their own platform or the trading bots or the social trading within the really cost efficient way. And they just mainly focus on their BD and operational work. And from other ecosystem. In Binance, we also support like BSC, Binance Smart Chain, and DEX to explore the DeFi world, and we aim to attract the new money from the traditional financial industry into the crypto world, and I think this is going to benefit for all stakeholders in this industry. That's it for me. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Jess. And lastly, but not least, Paul, over at Edge, what kind of exciting things are you guys is happening in the next couple of months?
Got it. So since our founding, we've had a very, very strong stance on privacy. We want to build privacy-based products, but hide the complexity of privacy from users. And so we have a couple initiatives and a couple projects that underway. Number one, we will actually be launching also a debit card through a partner, but it's a fully private anonymous debit card, meaning you basically put in whatever name, address, contact information you want on a website. It's a virtual card. However, you can only use it online, but you don't have to provide any personal information to any website that you're ordering with. Any address works as the billing address. So we're excited to get that launched out in the next couple months, really providing some level, a higher level of personal privacy, especially when using online services. And then number two, we were also one of the very first multi-asset wallets to incorporate privacy coin, the privacy coin Monero, and we're going to be on that next trend, incorporating other full private coins such as the new Zcash with its full shielded address support. And so that's close to the horizon. We're working really strong on that, and of course integrating just other services, coins, letting people buy, sell, and trade in more parts of the world. While we talk about being an exchange, we are the interface to multiple different exchanges, and so we have many other regions coming on board through partnerships. Much like Jess said, it's still an early industry, and we build our success on partnerships with other countries. We don't try to be the monolith and do everything ourselves. And so we have great partnerships to announce that'll give people fiat conversion capabilities in new major regions around the world, all through our application. So privacy and of course expanding our reach for fiat conversion are the main things people will see going forward in Edge.
That's great. Yeah, we're doing the same here at B1. Recently, in the last few months, added fiat capabilities, and a lot of exciting things coming up for many of us. I just want to wrap this up, and I want to thank Digital Week Online for holding this great event. And I know you guys do this a few times a year, and love to join the next one again. And thank you very much, Sergey.
Thanks to all of you. Yes, my pleasure to have you on stage.
Thank you so much.
Now, yes. Now we are going for a little bit break, and we'll meet each other in 10 minutes.